It's time for the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House in Eddy Street Commons. The Mike Brey Radio Show is presented by TireRack.com and brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners Sprint, Coke Zero, Under Armour, and Gatorade. The Mike Brey Radio Show is also presented by Delta Airlines, proud to be the official airline of Notre Dame Athletics, Bank of America, Xfinity, First Source Bank, Great Clips, Papa John's, St. Joseph Health System, South Bend Orthopedics, and O'Rourke's Public House. Also sponsoring tonight's show is Primrose Mishawaka and Legacy Heating and Air. Now, let's go live to O'Rourke's Public House for the Mike Brey Radio Show. Here's your host, Jack Nolan.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Brey Radio Show, presented by TireRack.com, live from O'Rourke's Public House. And, Coach, we always kind of joke about 2-0 weeks are always good, but this is a special 2-0 week.
This is a pretty good 2-0 week, wasn't it? There's no question. And to have to be riding a 3-game win streak in this league right now, as you heard me say, 1-game win streaks are thrilling. So I love that we've put ourselves in position to be 4-2 in this league going into Saturday in January is something that we're thrilled about, but you move on quick, and you got to keep your edge, and you got to be ready to go Saturday afternoon.
You have always gone out of your way to never make this about you. Heck, we didn't start calling this the Mike Brey Radio Show until like your 8th year as the coach. But as you have reflected a little bit, what did it mean to you? You're not only the only former Coach K assistant to beat him, you've done it 4 times, but to take a team into Cameron against a team that was ranked 6th, Duke was ranked 6th in the coaches poll, and to win in there.
You know, I always wondered when I worked there what it would be like. And, you know, I saw, not many times, but I saw teams, beat us when I was an assistant at Duke. I always wondered what it would be like to coach a team and win there. And my guys gave me one heck of a thrill and memory with how they played on Saturday. So it was neat personally. And, I really don't look at it as the assistant that's beat him. I more look at it as what's helped us with our success with them and North Carolina. It's given our program great credibility in the ACC. It's made us quickly in this league. Obviously, the championship last year helps too. It's made us really respected and have a presence in this new league, and that's what I'm most proud about.
You know, and that's absolutely true. I can vouch for that because I was part of the transition from independent status to the Big East. And in preparing some of the stuff for Troy Murphy weekend this weekend, it reminded me that the first Big East tournament victory didn't come until Troy's sophomore year, the year before you got there. Notre Dame hadn't even won a tournament game. They got in 96. They hadn't even won a Big East tournament game. In 3 years now, or really in 2 years, you won the championship. I mean, you are now considered by everybody to be an important part of the ACC.
No question. I'm really proud of that. You wondered when you jumped leagues, could you have the same consistency and the same respect and same presence that you had in the Big East, and it certainly is trending in that direction in year 3 in the ACC. I think it would be very important for us to go back to the NCAA tournament this year. You know, first year in the ACC, we know it was ugly, wasn't very good. Last year was magical. You know, what we did in the Big East is we were going pretty much 4 out of 5 years. We got in there pretty regularly, and so to go back again after a great year last year, I think would be very important. And, you know, with what we've done here in January, we have put ourselves in a nice position. Long way to go.
Another reason why it's remarkable that you're the defending ACC champions. And when you shifted into the league, that's tough. And you even talked about you're learning new teams and new styles. And the big thing is you had to do that after losing Grant. It was just too much. But what will forever stand out for me about your first season in the ACC, you'd taken your lumps. You went down to Carolina in that last regular season game on senior night, and you still almost beat them. So even though the transition was difficult, the foundation of competition was laid even during that tough first year.
You know, I thought it was neat that year that our first ACC game ever, we beat Duke. I mean, that'll be a great memory long after I'm gone and somebody else is coaching here. You can look back and say your first league game was a win over Duke. So maybe that was good karma eventually. But no, we've I think we have a presence in this league. We certainly have a presence nationally. You know, I think our program is as respected as any program out there. How we do it, the kind of kids we do it with. You know, it's not about anybody. It's kind of we do it as a unit. I think our egos are all in check. we play the game the right way, especially on the offensive end, sharing the ball. I think it's a real fun way to play. So I love where our program's at. I love where this team is at right now. And I think, again, starting with the Georgia Tech grinding hard win a week ago through Duke and into last night surviving, a lot of growth with this group, and you want to keep it going and see if you can get one here at home on Saturday, and then you got a chance to slow down a little bit maybe for 2 days before you get up to Syracuse on that Thursday.
And you talk about playing the game the right way. I was going to check it today and I forgot, but heading into the Virginia Tech game, you were the number one team in the country in offensive efficiency. There's 351 Division I teams. That's pretty impressive.
It is pretty powerful. It really is. We share the ball, we move it. It's been kind of a staple of the program. I'm really proud of it. We recruit to it. I think guys get better offensively in our system over time, and it's something it's very, very powerful. Again, I think how we've played has been a kind of a. We've had a lot of people copy us. I have a lot of guys checking in with my assistants and myself in the off season. Now, what are you doing with your motion and how you attack right there? And that I saw you run this, and you're really flattered by that, but. It's a fun way to play when that ball moves like that.
Which is why you're getting better and better recruits as time goes on. And it's fun to watch. That's what I try to explain to people. First half alone last night, 13 lead changes, 7 ties. I mean, that was a fun game to watch, but people will have a tendency to focus on things that maybe aren't as strong. And your defensive numbers usually aren't as strong as your offensive numbers. But last year, they were middle of the road. But the key was last year, you were able to get stops when you needed to. Yep. You shut teams down when you needed to. And the last couple of games, you've started to do it again. Yeah,
I think our overall defensive numbers I'm not thrilled about, or either our guys. We must make progress there, and that was a little bit of a point of, certainly the point of practice today and more tomorrow. But you are right. The stops that we could not get in Orlando, and we did not get in Indianapolis against Indiana when they were making the charge, we did that in each of the last 3 games. We really showed some toughness and some grit to do that, and I really think that's a big step forward for us.
As we go back to reflect on a couple more things from the Duke game, we have often talked about the fact that the lights are never too bright for Bonzie Colson. He's coming off the bench now, and he becomes the first Notre Dame player to score 30 and grab 10-plus rebounds in an ACC game with 31 and 11. He was just amazing, and he had an edge, and I think he got in Ingram's head a little bit, too.
Yeah, the one thing about him is he loves to compete. He has never been afraid. Case in point, we put him in the game at Georgia Tech last year when Zach is back here handling an academic matter, and he basically wins the game for us, which was a key ACC game for this group. Gets hit in the nose, he's bleeding from one nostril, he's got cotton up in his nose, and he's flying all over the place making plays. And I think starting there, he's always been a great energizing guy. I think guys are more confident when they play with Bonzie Colson. When you see Bonzie Colson's body language and swagger, and sometimes, he'll get in some people's faces, which is good. We don't need older boys in this league, and
You're not going to win with all
he has an edge about him. I think he gets everybody confident, but, I think he's really kind of finding himself in our offense as that 4-man, but yet we post him some, and we're learning. I'm learning how to use him better offensively, too.
Have you ever had a guy with that quick release? Because I've admitted to him, I have trouble calling his shots sometimes because it's almost like alien bursting out of his chest. He has the ball here, and the next thing you know, it's on the rim, and you're not sure how it got there.
Well, he's got this unique, the reach, the wingspan is so unique. It's an over 7-foot wingspan. So even a big guy, a 6'10 guy behind him may think they've really got him walled up and they're going to make it a tough shot, and he can get it up over you. Then, a la like Luke Herringody, he has that unique just way of finding the bucket. And it doesn't look pretty sometimes. The footwork is not anything you would teach at basketball camp, and Godey was like that, but yet he finds the basket. Some guys have a knack of finding the hoop, and Bonzie has that knack.
When you look at your team, the average fan, or maybe even some scouts will say, well, you have a point guard in Jackson, you have a shooting guard in Vastoria. But that's not really the case. And against Duke, they combined for 46 points and 8 assists, and Steve played even more point against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, there's those guys, they set the tone for us. It's hard to take them out of the game. That's why we got to rest them in between games. They are really joined at the hip. And I think by making Steve captain a couple weeks ago, it took some pressure off Demetrius. Like, well, there's another guy out there with me that's going to be out here pretty much the whole game, and kind of Steve and I are going to do this thing. Never was that better exemplified than the Duke game. Those guys were doing it. They got us confident. And to win the game last night, those guys went into their driving mode and just said, we're taking over this thing, we're putting our head down. And I love that is developing with our team, because they really are a key, the two of them together.
And a real good week for Zach August, too. He battled his tail off at Duke. He tied his career high with 14 rebounds, hit those 2 huge free throws with a second left to wrap it up. But he didn't finish as well as you need him to, or as he should have. And boy, did he respond with one of his best ever performances against Virginia Tech.
I really like where Zach August is. And I'll start with the leadership stuff. And I never thought he would be voted captain by his teammates when he was a younger player in our program. Just didn't think that would be something. And he was, and he's taken a lot of responsibility in that. And it doesn't come as natural to him as it did Pat Connaughton or Jaron Grant or Ben Hansbrough or many of the ones that we've had here. But he really values it. He knows it's important. And I thought how he talked to his teammates throughout the games, the last 3 games, and at halftime and really early in the second half, I thought he was really good with that. And then, the one thing about him, I mean, this is a big athletic guy. What he's doing on the backboard, I think he's understanding, if I just rebound the heck out of the ball on both ends, I'm going to have fun and we're going to win.
Well, he was particularly physical from a rebounding perspective last night, really going and getting the ball. But what about in the closing moments? That drive from the top of the key where he just put it on the floor, went and dunked it. There are not a lot of 6'10" guys who can do that.
It's funny. He gets that out of practice, and if you remember, he got that same move out of the same set that we run where he catches it in the high post, and we've got some action going on around him. So, the other 4 defenders are kind of worried, and they had their backs turned. You remember halftime before the Florida State game last year, he catches it in the same area and goes down and crushes one right to end the half. But he's a great 1-foot jumper. He's not a bad 2-foot jumper. Mm-hmm. He's a fantastic 1-foot jumper. So when he can run and go off one, or he can get his feet together and go off one, he's coming at you. And he plays with great emotion. There's great energy. Sometimes you got to tell him to calm down, but I would rather ratchet him down. He and Bonds have that edge. I'd rather have to ratchet them back a little bit than to tell them to have an edge. Like, they really love to compete, and they're confident guys.
And folks who are here at O'Rourke just got to see those plays on the big screen, as did people watching this live on Watch ND. We do archive the show. Our producer, Ben Johnson, spends a lot of time digging up these plays. So if you ever want to watch us, you can do it either live or, as they say, it's not tape anymore. It's digital, whatever it is. I still call it tape. I want to get back to that Steve Astoria point, though, because it seemed to me that you did it more last night, and you did it when you needed to do it.
Right.
Tech made some runs, and it really does help Demetrius gets some shots he otherwise wouldn't get, and I think sometimes he gets in a better offensive rhythm when he's not starting with the ball.
Well, I think he's confident now with Steve that he can give it up and go away and get screened for and come back up and not worry about, God, who's going to handle the ball. Steve has made great progress. Steve was kind of a spot-up shooter, situational driver for us offensively the first 2 years. Always has been a reliable defender from the very first day of practice his freshman year, so well coached in high school out of Philadelphia. But now we need him to probe. We ball screen for him more. And one of the things that we were not happy with Steve, if there was one thing, and they can't find much, I thought he turned the ball over too much his freshman and sophomore year. His assist to turnover should be better. I think you look in ACC play right now, he's got 22 assists and only 8 turnovers, and he's making more plays. So, that means he's really good with it, because he's forcing some stuff in there and making some plays with the ball. So I've loved his progress there off the dribble. Still can make a big shot, as we saw in Durham, and he's sticking free throws. But again, he handling the ball gives Demetrius another chance to get down on the baseline and come up off a screen.
And he is so steady. And I didn't know this till he got here because the name jumped out at me because I remember interviewing Speedy Morris in the 1980s when he brought his LaSalle teams here.
Right.
And Notre Dame would play them at the Palestra with stars like Lionel Simmons. And that's who his high school coach was. And you can really tell how well coached he is. Last night's game, gritty. Some people said ugly. I don't think so. A lot of points were scored in the game, but you just couldn't put them away at home. But, I mean, how far has your team come in the last 2 weeks? Because I'm not sure the team that lost to Virginia could have won the Virginia Tech game. I think they've made tremendous strides in the way they play, their confidence, but also that edge, the grittiness you need to win in this league.
I think we've made some real progress there, Jack. I mean, again, we are, I said this back on Media Day, and we're going to be a work in progress up until Washington, D.C. in the ACC tournament in March. Can we get enough wins to stay on the board and in the picture while we're doing that? To date, yes. Long way to go, though, as we know, and some really tough ones coming up. And first of all, I think you got to give some credit to Virginia Tech. They're at 4-1 in the league was not a fluke. They're better. You know, Buzz Williams is a heck of a coach. We remember him from Marquette. And they're driving and slashing at your throat at the bucket all night. And with the new rules, you know, as far as any kind of close to a hand check, it's hard to guard that kind of action. And it took us a while to get a better feel of it. I thought we got better in the second half. I don't think it was still good enough for us to do what we want to do in March. But we got some key stops, and we were able to move our feet and stay in front of people. Certainly the guest that's going to join us here in a little bit, Rex Pfluger, has been a real key on that end of the floor, being able to guard driving guards and keep them in front of us.
I want to end this segment with rebounding, but I got to mention this play when you just talked about stopping drives. What about Vastoria's play on the breakaway by Seth Allen to cleanly block that shot?
We gave up some transition stuff. Our defensive balance must improve. And but there were two plays in transition that really saved our butts. Steve's play, where he comes back and strips, and Matt Ryan's play. One of their bigs had a dunk running down the middle of the lane. Matt was guarding a shooter on the other side. He comes in and gets a hand on it, and we get the ball. That was a key part in the game, both of those plays. But here with Steve, we got showing it right there. How many times, you know, the stuff that he does, there's so much stuff that he does that never shows up in the stat sheet. How he moves and cuts on offense makes it easier for the other four guys to get a look. You know, how he screens, what he does defensively when he switches or rotates over to take a charge. He tried to get one last night. One guy had a charge, the other guy had a block. It was a block. You know, there's stuff that just doesn't show up when a Steve Vastoria plays. I think our fans that have watched him now for 2.5 years, I like to say he is a beautiful basketball player. Not that he's a good-looking guy. He is. You know, I'm sure they'll get back to him. But if I had it, my son is old now, but if my son was 11 or 12, I'd say, just watch Vastoria. Watch Vastoria play. Watch how he interacts. He knows how to play the game.
Well, in 30-plus years of calling these games, I can count on one hand, maybe two in that much time, the number of times somebody's been able to block a breakaway layup and not be clean for a foul.
No question.
And as you could see on the replay, it was clean. They didn't miss it. It was absolutely clean.
He lined them up and stripped them and was great. So, I think he's hit a great, aggressive, offensive frame of mind now. Like one drive he had, I think he caved in somebody's chest. Mm-hmm. And the guy was in the circle, so it was a block. I mean, he went right into his chest to draw the foul. And he had, you know, he and D had great, strong drives last night to help us escape, which you got to do sometimes in league play.
Connaughton was such a freakish rebounder.
Yeah.
I know you were worried preseason. Maybe not worried might be too strong. Or you said you were worried, but at least concerned where it was going to come from. If I remember correctly, the Tech numbers were good, and you have now handily out-rebounded both Duke and Virginia Tech on consecutive nights. How do you think about your rebounding?
Yeah, I think that's really been important for us. And one of the things I told Bonzi and Zach, they had 12 offensive rebounds at Duke. And I said, you know, you guys need to be in that vicinity all the time. We need to pound away with you two guys when you're in there. Both of you, when you're in there alone, get on that offensive board. I thought they both did that. Some of Zach's offensive rebounds last night were life-saving. You know, we would miss a good shot, and you're thinking, oh, God, maybe not tonight, and he towers above everybody. What I thought he did a good job of last night, where he didn't finish well against Duke, rebounding in traffic, gathering, and going up off of 2 feet and finishing. I thought he and I think we're making progress there. Anthony Solomon does a great job. He's working with our big guys this year, and he does so much of that simple footwork around the bucket, catch, gather. We spend every day doing that, and I think Zach's really taking it to heart.
We have a nice crowd here at O'Rourke's tonight on a chilly night in South Bend, although compared to what's going to happen in your own.
It's spring weather out there now.
What's going to happen to Baltimore and Washington this weekend. This is definitely spring, and also good luck to the Irish women's team playing 24th ranked Syracuse over at Purcell right now. And
Does Syracuse women play a 2-3 zone?
I just wonder.
So.
No, I don't think so.
Wondered.
I don't think
I thought maybe you had to.
You already have nightmares about that.
I thought you had to. If you're the women's coach at Syracuse, I just thought maybe you had to do that.
Well, we'll talk about the Syracuse game a little bit coming up a little later. But when we come back, we have our audience questions for Coach Brey. But first, our first time out, the Mike Brey Radio Show, presented by TireRack.com, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Well, we have lots of questions for the coach of the now you were picked, voted to finish fourth in the ACC. Right now, we're in a three-way tie
we'll
for fourth in the ACC as you keep climbing. Dennis is here from Granger. Coach, are you the first Notre Dame basketball coach to sport a beard?
Basketball coach?
Yeah.
I got it. Probably, you know what? I know we'd have to go look back in
I know
history.
Digger never did. He wore a fur coat, but he never had a beard.
Did Father Soren ever coach a game? Because he had a hell of a beard.
I don't think he did.
Picture. Okay.
I don't think he did.
Okay. But, I probably am. And, it's all a karma thing. We'll just ride it here a little bit and see what's going on right now. We kind of like it.
It's one less thing to do in the morning, too.
That's right. It does save time.
But yours is growing fast because you shaved early in the week. Why'd you shave early in the week? Was it getting too thick?
It gets a little too thick.
And it gets itchy?
Gets a little thick, yeah.
All right. Doug Buell's here again from Michigan City. Driving and scoring in the paint was awesome in the second half of the game last night. What did you see during the first half that made you go to that style of offense in the second half?
Well, I think they did we always are looking for Demetrius and Steve to drive and probe. I give Virginia Tech credit that they made it hard on us. We turned a few over, and once, what happens is when a defense gets a little fatigued in the second half, Demetrius and Steve are then ready to get in there more, and I thought the last 7 minutes they were, and probably moved them a little bit, and there was some fatigue on Georgia Tech's part.
Sarah Alexander is here from Nashville, Tennessee. Coach, Bonzie Colson could be a candidate for ACC Breakout Player this season. Your thoughts?
Well, he is, he's playing at a high level. There's no question. There is a most improved player, I think, we award. I don't know if we have a breakout player of the year.
We have most improved.
We have most improved.
And rookie, but he can't be a rookie.
Can't be a rookie. But, the one thing about him is, we talked about this right after we made the change in the lineup. There was no baggage with him not starting. His attitude was that, coach, if it helps us win, well.
And it's not lip service. He means
he means that. It's helping us win. And, and again, we've started the last two games, we've started that way, but not the second half. Second half, he's started. We've started the second half with him, and we kind of talk about it at halftime, and if we felt, let's have him out there to start the game, the last two games. Maybe that'll happen again on Saturday.
Brandon List is here from South Bend again. Coach, have there been any talks about putting the old Big East opponents like Georgetown, Marquette, UConn, et cetera, back on future schedules?
Yes, I think that's something we'd like to do. As you've heard or read a little bit, we will open up DePaul's new facility over there in the next couple years on an opening night down the road. We're in the works to play Villanova next year in the Prudential Center in Newark as part of the 9/11 Classic, a fundraiser for the orphans of
the 9/11 victims.
9/11 victims. Georgetown's always on my mind because it gets you back in D.C. Right now, we don't have a D.C., we don't play in D.C., but we like to recruit in D.C. Of course, the ACC tournament is in D.C. So those Catholic schools are on my mind. The problem we have is we're locked into two Big Tens every year with the Crossroads and the ACC Big Ten Challenge. So that kind of, and those are good, but it kind of sometimes takes your flexibility.
Jerry Liss is here from South Bend, and this is actually a legitimate question because so many sports are doing this. Other schools have done it. Coach, what is the possibility of playing a game inside Notre Dame Stadium?
I don't know. I kidded about that in one of the radio shows. Why not? Let's try it. I mean, hockey's playing in football stadiums. Football's playing in baseball stadiums. That may be a unique thing to do. Maybe we can figure that out one day. I think that would be really cool to do that here.
Maybe renewal of some rivalry, make it kind of a fundraiser, a Coaches versus Cancer fundraiser.
Yeah, it could be a neat event. I think you got to keep an open mind to that with technology. Maybe we can pull that off.
We probably got to do it in early November.
Oh, we got to do it.
I don't think you want to do it January 30th.
We got to do it quick.
Although, you'd have to practice. I remember shoveling off the court when I was a kid, but that might be a little bit much. Drew Lister from South Bend, Coach, how can your team improve their defensive efficiency?
Yeah, I think, we have to help them in where our point of pickup is. I think we're still kind of trying to figure out where to pick up, what's best for this group. Is it a little further out? Is it right on the three-point line? Being more consistent in our ball screen defense. We got some reps there today. And the other thing is, it's easy it used to be easy to say before the new rule, we got to play our defense without fouling, fellas. That's hard to do this year. When you're playing man-to-man and a guy's made his mind up to physically drive, you got to be one heck of an athlete to kind of guard him if he's going in there. And I think Steve has made, the guy we're going to have on as a guest, has made some amazingly athletic plays without fouling on drivers the last week, Rex, that is. But it's a work in progress, and we got to keep coming back to it. In the meantime, we better keep putting that ball in the hole at a high clip.
Last question from Renee Buell. Normally I wouldn't ask this because the question's for me. But it's when and where did you come up with the phrase, got it? That's actually a good question because it's kind of become a thing.
It is.
When you were nice enough to award me an honorary monogram, they played videotape when I used to do the games on WNDU TV as well of the Alfonso era, and I yelled, got it. I've always kind of done it. It's not intentional. I grew up listening to Johnny Most. Bang was the call. I used to do Missouri games next to Costas, and he would go bang too. But it just kind of grew, and the enthusiasm part, I've been around here 30 years. I know the players. I know you. And it matters to me. And I just got to the point where I was always, sometimes I listen to myself, I get embarrassed, I'd get so emotional. But when the fans said, no, we really kind of like that, and the highlights are better when you hear that, I just now kind of let it rip. And I try to, this is a true story. Jack Cooley, when he hit his three against Evansville, he comes over to me at the end of the game, and I called it was like he had the ball at the top of the key, and they dare him to shoot it. He shoots it, and he makes it at the end of the game, and this almost never happens. You had a big lead then. He's like a minute and a half left, he comes over, and I go, what? He goes, did I get it, got it? And I went, yeah, you got it, because there were 7. I came walking up to him after the game, and he goes, I didn't get it, got it, did I? I said, no, you got something better. He says, no, I wanted the got it. I said, next time. He goes, I'm Jack Cooley. There won't be a next time. But it's just come out, and it is a lot of fun. And the fans have embraced it, so it just kind of evolved.
You're the best. You're passionate, and our fans love listening to you. I have so many people email me, your Radio Jack was rolling last night, and you have a hard time getting over bad officiating more than me.
Have people been mentioning
No. When we talk on the plane sometimes, you'll be like, I'm like, don't bring it up, Jack. I'm trying to get over it.
I try not to bring it up to you too much.
That's how passionate you are about us.
I'm still mad about the non-call at Alabama. We'll be back to introduce you to a man who's playing a bigger and bigger role on this team, Rex Pfluger, right after this timeout. This is the Mike Brey Radio Show live from O'Rourke's Public House.
Splits a double team, throws it on out to Vastoria, to Pfluger. Pfluger with 2 on the shot clock, the 3 on the way. He knocks it down! Rex Pfluger! 86-80. A desperation 3 at the shot clock buzzer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome freshman Rex Pfluger. And, Coach, I think you can make an argument in a game of big plays. That may have been the biggest basket in the game.
That was a big bucket. And, he did it just really under control and stable. There was no panic. He kind of stepped back. He's made that shot in practice a bunch. But this guy has meant so much to where we are right now and how we're playing. The energy brings, how he's guarding. He's on the floor more than anybody on our team. He gets 50-50 balls. He can drive it, and he's athletic. If he gets fouled, he makes free throws. He's become a real key part he was trending that way the whole time. And, as a coach, I kicked myself a little bit. I didn't get him in there quicker. But thank God we have him in there and part of it right now, and he's a big, big part of things.
From my side of it, watching Coach every year, he's been here. Something I think he does very well is he doesn't put you in a key situation until you're ready for the key situation. Demetrius had some issues adjusting from high school to college because it's different. I know it was hard for you to wait to start playing big-time minutes in clutch situations, but obviously you feel comfortable. Do you think that the extra time you had to get ready for the spotlight helped you be ready now that you're in the spotlight?
I feel like our captains have been really good with me. They've been, coaching me a little bit on the side, and they've been just telling me to wait my time, basically. Just wait. Whatever happens. If you get put in a game situation, play your game, be confident. Play your game, play hard, and bring that defensive energy. And when I just got in that moment, they just told me, keep playing how you've been playing the rest of the game, and then you'll be fine.
Now, Cameron's one of the shrines of college basketball, so anybody who plays it understands it. And I don't want to harp on it too much, but still, that's a marquee win in the history of this program. What was it like for you to play such a key role and to walk out of that building with a win?
I was really just happy to get the win. It was cool to play, honestly, but just getting that win meant so much to not just me, but the team and the program and the school. Coming out with that win, I remember us walking to the locker room, just how energized everybody was, and everyone was so happy, but in the same time, everyone was just on to the next one.
You're a hustle stat guy. By that I mean it's not just the ones on the shooting side of the stat sheet. You're putting up numbers on the other side of the points, the steals, the block shots, the assists. How do you describe your game right now?
My game right now is I'm an energy guy coming off the bench. I'm here to give a little bit of help on offense, but primarily I want to be the guy that stops whoever's hot on the offensive side on the other team. I got to do the dirty work. I've always been the type of player to get on the floor. I'm always going to be tough. I'm always going to show energy and passion, and that's just my role right now.
We just showed your big tip-in against Virginia Tech last night. The steals, some of the other plays that you made at Duke, the nice block shot there. That right there, to be able to do that. Because people don't know, and Notre Dame's really easy to shoot free throws because unless you go to the floor, you look at the backboard, all you're seeing is the blue. Mm-hmm. At Duke, you're seeing the crazies, and you just knocked them down like it was practice.
Mm-hmm. We do practice. Coach does a good job emphasizing free throws and how the importance of them. He'll put us in situations where it'll be a game situation, and he'll give us a time and have the whole team watching you, and that kind of gives you that extra pressure. So when moments like that happen in the game, you're ready.
Right, you were four-star recruit. Some of the schools that offered you, San Diego State, warm weather, USC, warm weather, Cal, warm weather, Florida, warm weather, Boston College, not as cold as here, UConn, and Washington State. What got you to come to Notre Dame?
It was just the overall feel I had here when I visited. It was just like so communal, the whole family vibe I got from when I was hanging out with the players, watching practice, and just obviously watching them previously, and just I've heard from everyone that Coach Brey is the coolest coach in the NCAA, and I get that, and I understand now why. And he takes care of us really well. So, and then I've always wanted to experience something different. Living in California my whole life, I wanted to enjoy the seasons and all that, and so I thought this was a perfect fit.
He's got his boots and his hat. The Orange County guy. He's fit right in. But that was the one thing about him. Watching him the summer before his senior year, he had a great summer. Comes from an excellent high school program, Mater Dei and Gary McKnight, Morgan Wooten. I played for Morgan Wooten. He played for Gary McKnight. We're way better because of those experiences. He won. He's fearless. He's tough. Really what he's given us. Remember when when we found Bonzi around this time of year last year, he's given us that same kind of, injection of energy and toughness. And he'll only get better. I mean, how about the play he makes right before halftime?
Yes. Now,
defouled, and that kind of messed that up. But we get the ball back right there. I mean, he's presence of mind to do that. And when I look out there, and when you have Jackson, Bastori, and him guarding the three perimeter players on the other team, that's pretty good defensive perimeter for us.
Next time you talk to Kyle, though, your son, you got to ask him, "Am I cool?" Because in 1 week, your players are calling you the coolest, and Buzz Williams in his teleconference called you the coolest. So everybody seems to think you're cool.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Must be the beard. I'll take it, man.
We'll have more of the Rex Pfluger right after this timeout. The Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Welcome back to the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Making our community brighter, it's what Nika Electrical Contractors do every day through community involvement efforts like sponsoring the Notre Dame Basketball Youth Experience, which gives area youth groups a trip to Purcell Pavilion to see Coach Brey's Fighting Irish in action. The Nika Contractors and electrical workers of Local 153 preparing Michiana for a brighter tomorrow. You know, we're talking about some cold weather here. I've always thought, and you can tell me if I'm full of it, but one of the great things about being involved in basketball here is there are no distractions. You don't have to worry about the cute girl walking down the street because she's in a parka. I mean, you don't want to go outside. It's all basketball in the winter, and you don't want to do anything else.
Here's the only, I'm going to retire in Dana Point. Because when we did the home visit out there where he lives, wow, that's a great place out there.
Well, you got him out here. And again, modern day, Joe Schmidt. Did you guys, was he a senior when you were a freshman? Did you ever cross paths?
Actually, I transferred to Mater Dei in my sophomore year.
So he wasn't there. But he did tell me huge Notre Dame fan base at Mater Dei. Is that correct?
Oh, it's huge. We have a bunch of people in our staff and like everyone that works there is just a fan of it just because they can.
And our Heisman Trophy.
Huerte or John?
John, yeah.
John Hewart. John Hewart. I was wondering where you were going. I knew that, yeah.
John Hewart's a Mater Dei guy.
Absolutely.
When we went out to recruit him, there's a nice thing in the trophy case.
Yeah. Now, I know Orange County, tons of fans out there. I even get a lot of emails from folks out there. Renee Buell has a question for you. When you do get a chance to get a break from practice and your studies, what do you do to relax, Rex?
I always think about this when I wake up from the morning. The things I think about is class, practice, and when do I have time to sleep. Because that's just like, it's finding time in Notre Dame between school and basketball. There's not much else to do. So I love to sleep, but also Netflix. Just watch a bunch of TV shows.
He's got to be healthy, and with that schedule, he can't possibly get in any trouble.
Well, I just asked him before we went on the air, I said, how's your weight? You know, and he said, I'm down a little bit. He said, I'm having a hard time getting to lunch on Tuesday and Thursday because my class schedule, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I'm going, welcome to our world. I said, well, we got to fix that. We got to get you a bag lunch or something, you know, because he's got such an intense schedule. But he's Mendoza Business School of Business. He's going to get a degree from there, and highly motivated student, just mature beyond his years. The reason he's able to do what he's doing for us, because he's not really a freshman. He's handled his business more like an upperclassman since he's been here.
Kimmy from Mishawaka would like to know, what is your favorite team?
In what?
In sports. Other than Notre Dame's got to be number one. So other than Notre Dame, what's your favorite team?
I've always been a huge Laker fan. Just Kobe Bryant's always been the person I've looked up to. Like, not maybe style of play, but just his idea. I heard a boo. But I just love Kobe Bryant and just his intensity that he brings to the game and the passion he plays with.
All right, and Allie Lister knows you're from California. I saved this because it said for Rex. I didn't read it till now, but she's worried about the weather too. Rex, how are you adapting to our South Bend weather?
I think I'm doing really well, honestly. I've always had a kind of good feel for the cold. My mom's from England. My dad's from D.C., same parts as Coach Brey, actually. And I've grown up in California, but I've always wanted to experience something different. So I've been doing a good job so far.
This is different than Dana Point. Yeah. There's no question about that. When we come back, Rex will run the radio version of the Fast Break. The Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Tonight's Mike Brey Radio Show is brought to you by TireRack.com. And while we're talking running, passing, and three-point shots, the experts at Tire Rack have cornering, traction, and performance of a different kind on their minds. That's why you'll be able to find exactly the tires you need when you need them. TireRack.com. Find, deliver, and install. And you can actually, their giant warehouses on the west side of South Bend. You can go right there and buy the tires in person. So here's the Fast Break questions for Rex Pfluger. Who is your role model?
My role model, I have to say my dad. He came from nothing, and he made just everything happen for me in my life, so I got to give everything up to him.
One thing the public would be surprised to learn about you.
I love to dance. Just love to. My favorite
apparently
thing.
You're a good dancer because you tweeted it out about somebody. I'm still a better dancer.
Oh yeah, that was to my old teammate Stanley Johnson.
All right. I keep wanting to drop this question, and the women in my life keep saying I have to keep it in, including Bertie Caffarelli, who's now gone on to be an assistant commissioner of the American Conference. What did you do on your first date?
My first date, typical, just my generation, took her to a movie and dinner.
All right. Favorite NBA player?
Kobe Bryant.
Favorite part of practice?
Break. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I love kills. I don't know why.
Oh. That's why you're playing. Worst part of practice?
Kills.
Best part of your game?
Being able to defend any player.
Part of your game you need to work on?
Confidence.
Which is better, knocking down a long three, blocking a key shot, or dishing out a big assist?
I love giving a great assist for a dunk on someone.
Favorite class you've taken so far in your first, well, you've got one semester under your belt, plus summer. You're in the summer. So what's your favorite class so far?
Writing and rhetoric.
One thing you always hear from Coach Brey in practice?
Take a better shot.
Okay, now he hasn't been contaminated yet for this question. Assistant coach who is most like Coach Brey?
Rod belongs.
All right. It's the DeMatha thing. It's got to be the DeMatha.
It must be.
Thing.
It's got to be that. It's got to be that. It's amazing how consistent that is.
I know, it is. Player on the team most like you?
Matt Ryan.
Best nickname on the team and who has it?
Ooh, Matt Gregory, Roger.
Best player to room with on the road?
Matt Ryan.
Toughest Notre Dame player to guard?
Demetrius Jackson.
Best defender on the team?
Steve Asteria.
Best leaper on the team?
Me.
Best dunker on the team?
I'll give that to Torres.
Worst dunker on the team?
Chad Holtz.
Best dresser on the team?
I'll go with Elijah Burns.
Yes.
Worst dresser on the team?
I'm sorry, but Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Best singer on the team?
I gotta give that to Matt Ryan. Actually, he can sing a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Worst singer on the team?
Me.
Best comedian on the team?
Ooh. I'll go with Bonzi.
Best comedian on the coaching staff?
Who's fine? Coach Slow.
Player most likely to become a coach?
Matt Gregory.
Freestyle swimming race, one lap, who wins?
Ooh.
You or Coach Brey?
California guy.
I gotta go with me on that one.
Yeah,
Good swimmer?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be a heck of that's a challenge. I got to get in training for that. You know those California guys, they can swim.
You know, he's never done this before. When you do this for TV now, you're going to knock it out of the park. You just did. Rex, thank you very much. We're back to wrap things up right after this final time out of the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Well, a couple big games coming up, BC and Syracuse, but we do want to wrap this up. Special day Saturday. You got to beat BC, but you're going to honor Troy Murphy.
What a great day to put Troy Murphy up in our Ring of Honor, Jack. So well deserved. He is so excited to come back and with his family. A couple of my former guys from my early years are going to be there, but well deserved. And Troy was a special player in our history. Thought it was always unusual that he had to play for 3 coaches in 3 years. I don't know if that was very fair to him, but the year that I had with him, which was my first year, I'll always be indebted because he made me look pretty good and he drove us back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 10 years.
And he is a part of the success the program is having right now. So Saturday, noon tip-off, tickets available. Notre Dame, BC. Troy Murphy gets elevated into the Ring of Honor. Thanks for coming out tonight. We skip next week because we're at Syracuse back in 2 weeks. Good night, everybody, and go Irish.
That's right.
The Mike Brey Radio Show has been presented by TireRack.com and brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners Sprint, Coke Zero, Under Armour, and Gatorade. The Mike Brey Radio Show is also presented by Delta Airlines, proud to be the official airline of Notre Dame Athletics, Bank of America, Xfinity, First Source Bank, Great Clips, Papa John's, St. Joseph Health System, South Bend Orthopedics, and O'Rourke's Public House.